Hey there, class. Mr. Prusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We're continuing with Chapter 6. This is 6.4, and this whole chapter is working with it's working with linear inequalities. The name of this lesson is solving absolute value equations. We're also solving absolute value inequalities in this lesson. It'll be day 2 probably. Our central question is, how do we solve absolute value equations? Okay. So we have a review from lesson 2.1. Let's get right into it here. It says, what are the answers for the absolute value of x equals 5? We're going to write that over here so you can see it better. The absolute value of x equals 5. It's saying what numbers, when you take the absolute value, are 5 away from 0? Or what numbers are 5 away from 0? We're going to have 5, or x is going to equal negative 5, right? Both 5 and negative 5 are both 5 away from 0, correct? Okay, that's basically all it's asking. So that's kind of what we're going to do with these problems here. We're going to take whatever's inside the absolute value bars, we're going to set them equal to the positive value and the negative value, and then we're going to solve. All right, and the answers are going to be 5 and negative 5, like we talked about, because the expression inside the absolute value symbols can either be positive or negative. It can either be positive or negative. Okay, so here's the steps for solving absolute value equations. We're going to create two equations separated by the word or. We're going to set what's inside the absolute value bars equal to the positive number, and then we're going to set them equal to the negative number. Okay? And then you're going to solve each equation separately here, all right? So, oops, I got to move with 2 fingers, I guess. It says solve the absolute value of x plus 7 equals 4. Since the expression inside the absolute value symbols can be positive or negative, we're going to have 2 answers here. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to write, the first equation is just going to be the equation without the absolute value bars. So x plus 7 equals 4. And then we're going to write the same thing, x plus 7 equals, we're going to write the opposite of 4, or negative 4, basically. Okay? And then we're going to solve from there. So let's go ahead and do that. How do we solve for x now? Well, we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. And 4 minus 7 is negative 3. Or we're going to subtract 7 over here as well. X equals, that's going to be negative 11. So these are our 2 answers. Now, what do these mean? Let's talk about what these mean in a second here. So if I plug in negative 3 for x, negative 3 plus 7 equals 4. Well, what's negative 3 plus 7? Well, that's 4. And the absolute value of 4 is 4, so that means that it's going to make it true. But the same thing happens with negative 11 as well. Same thing happens with negative 11 as well. So basically it's saying what numbers can x be that when you take the absolute value of that number plus 7, it's going to equal 4. It's going to be 4 away from 0. Okay? And basically all you have to do is set them equal to the positive number right here and the negative number over here, and then you solve them normally, and then you're going to put or in the middle, and that will be your final answer. All right, let's do example 2. Let's kind of keep moving along here. To solve the absolute value of 2x minus 8 equals 10. All right, so we're going to split it. I always like to draw these lines here. I didn't do it for the last one. I probably should have, but oh well. So we're going to split this up. We're going to write without the absolute values. We're going to write 2x minus 8 equals 10, or 2x minus 8 equals negative 10 over here. Oops. Negative 10. Okay? Now, very important, when you split it, that will take care of the absolute value symbols. You do not need to, once you split it, do not keep the absolute value symbols around the 2x minus 8. Okay? It will actually be wrong if you do that. It's kind of like, when you're solving an equation, just don't worry about it, what I'll say, okay? So when you split an equation, you're taking care of the positive and the negative. This right here, this positive 10 and negative 10, will take care of the absolute value, so you do not need it anymore, okay? And you actually cannot solve, a lot of people do this too. They put 2x minus 8, absolute value of that equals 10. And a lot of people will just try to add 8 to both sides here. You cannot do that over here, okay? That's not allowed. You cannot, absolute value bars are kind of like grouping symbols. They're kind of like parentheses. You cannot just, start moving stuff around without splitting it into 2 separate problems here, okay? So split it into positive 10 and negative 10, and then make sure you solve them separately, all right? So let's do that. Let's 2x minus 8 equals 10. Well, we are going to add 8 to both sides, but we're going to make sure we split it first like we did. 10 plus 8 is 18. Then we divide by 2. So we get x equals 9. Or, let me do the same thing over here. Nice thing about these kind of problems is that we're going to have the same exact steps for solving. We're going to have 2x equals what? Negative 2. Divided by 2. X equals what? Negative 1. And there's our answer. We got 9 or negative 1. If you plug in 9 or negative 1 in for x, the absolute value of that, when you take the absolute value of that, it will equal 10. It'll be 10 away from 0. Okay? All right, I think we got one more example here. And then we're going to do day 2 on another video. So, next example. All right. It says solve absolute value of 3x plus 5 minus 6 equals 14. It says before you write the or statement, what we need to do first is we need to isolate the absolute value before we can start moving stuff around here and solving, okay? So, is the absolute value of 3x plus 5 by itself on the same side of the equal sign right now, or no? It is not. Do you see how that minus 6 is in the way of it being by itself? So we are going to add 6 to both sides. And now, don't forget the absolute values for now. We're going to write absolute value of 3x plus 5 equals, and 14 plus 6 is going to be 20. All right, and now we have an absolute value. Now it's equal to, so now we're going to split this up. We're going to write 3x plus 5 equals 20, or 3x plus 5 equals negative 20. That's all we have to do when we're solving absolute values. So we split them in the middle, positive 20, negative 20, and then we solve them. So how do we solve for x now? Well, we're going to subtract 5. We'll do it to all 3 of them over here, or all 4 sides over here. So you get 3x equals 20 minus 5 is 15. And then we get 3x equals negative 20 minus 5 is negative 25. Let's fix that, actually. Now, how do we solve for x? So we're going to divide by 3. We're going to get x equals 15 divided by 3 is positive 5. Or, and then negative 25 does not divide by 3, so we're going to leave it as negative 25 over 3. And there's our final answer. Okay, so that's kind of how we solve absolute value equations. Make sure the absolute value is by itself. Split it into the positive number and the negative number without the absolute value. So right here for 3x plus 5, we do not have the absolute values after we split it. And you also can't start solving. So right here, you cannot subtract 5 from both sides and just solve it from there. It's not a normal equation. It's an absolute value equation. So we have to split it. Okay? Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and stick around for 6.4 day 2.